We're trying to find the horizontal intercept here of our graph. Notice that I've written the symbolic rule that we've created in function notation and in equation notation. Here's what we're looking for. We're going to use those, by the way, in a minute. But here's what we're looking for. Where does this line cross this axis? And the way I've drawn it here, the way it looks, appears not to be on a whole number. So here's what you may have done, could think of as here's our slope. Our original slope was 4.5 for each increase in year. That would be in that direction. But if we use this point, we need something that would help us go in that direction. So we could use the slope, this version of it. A negative divided by a negative is positive, which has the same value as that. So we're not changing the value of the slope, but we are helping us and using this to say, well, a decrease in one's share of stock for a year previous to 05. So you could start here and say, okay, I'm going to go down 4.5 and then decrease my input variable by 1. That'll give me another point on the line. So let's try it. So 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and then that way 1. So that'd be right there. Looks like I drew my line pretty good. And then 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and then that way 1. So that actually goes through that corner. And then 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and over 1. So that looks like pretty good. But then look at 1, 2, 3, 4.5 over 1. So there's my next point out there somewhere, but definitely does not go through a point. So how do we find the coordinate where that guy is along this axis? But notice that along this axis, this value axis, what must that second coordinate be? This is a year, and we know it's going to be negative in this on this axis. This is a value. But to be on this axis, what must the value here be? And so what's the value along here? And that's 0, my friends. In other words, what's the y value that corresponds with the output of 0? And so there's the challenge. And the nice thing is we can use an algebra to help us. I call it an algebra cheating move. Is what happens when that's 0? In our equation notation, what happens when that's 0? Or what's the corresponding y value for an output of 0? Can we find y here? And you should be thinking, yeah, that's just a simple equation. Subtract 15 and divide by 450 to get our corresponding y. And that's it, folks. We're going to subtract 15 from both sides. And that would give me this. And then divide by 450 on both sides would give me a y value of this. So whatever that comes out to be. Algebra is nice when it's useful like this. Negative 15 divided by 450 gives me negative 3.3 repeating. So the y value here is negative 3.3 going on forever. That's a negative. So we can round that. Let's round it to the nearest hundredth. So our y value here is negative 3.33 approximately. So our horizontal intercept is that guy right there. So I'll write it over here. And so what would this mean? Remember, this is a year since 05, and this would be the value. And so what we're saying here is about negative 3.3 years, or 3.33 years prior to 05, the value of one share of stock was 0. Now that may sound crazy, and it probably is. So you may have to think, is that practical? Does that really happen? I mean, how long has Netflix been around? Certainly prior to 05, more than 3 years. So you could argue, hey, this is not practical. So I'm going to say that, not practical. Or you could even say no practical meaning, but you would have to say something in terms of its practicality. So again, you could either say not practical or no practical value here. No practical meaning for this.